snacks and water. And I'd like to introduce our moderator, Ted McIntyre, who is Ted is the president of the Massachusetts Climate Action Network, MCAN, which we are a chapter of. And before I hand over to Ted, I quickly would like to introduce Mayor Davis. Where did she go? There she is. To say a few words to get us started.
Well, maybe I should stand up here. Good evening, everyone. And I guess it's a pleasure to be here. And it's actually a pleasure to be here and not be on the panel. So I don't have to be grilled tonight. That's very nice. It's a pleasure to be with all of you who I've worked with for so many years on the council. And most of you can probably tell by my position here that I'm not running for re-election. But you are, and I am, continuing to be a green Cantabrigian and someone who really believes in our community as a model city for showing the way to other cities across the country and even across the world. So last week I went to a Net Zero Cities conference in Fort Collins, Colorado, and found out what some other cities were doing. But nobody's really taken on as much of a challenge as we have with the Net Zero Task Force. I know some people don't think that was the perfect answer, but believe me, it's way out there. And what I found out is that California has adopted a net zero standard that for 2020 or 2025, I can't remember which, for various buildings. And the Army has a net zero standard. The armed forces, federal buildings have a net zero standard that says all buildings must be built to be net zero starting in 2020. That's what the U.S. Army is doing. So as Cambridge goes forward with the Net Zero Task Force, we're breaking new ground for what cities can do, but we're right up there with the best in our country in looking for the best kind of energy efficiency and the best adoption of renewables. So it's because of you all, because you all started, as soon as you heard that this was a possibility, you all came forward and you all said, yes, this is what we want. And when I went to Colorado, I said, there's a groundswell in Cambridge. They want net zero. They want to go in this direction, and then there's great applause, when they hear that. So I want to thank you for all the years of working together with you and having your inspiration to move me along, and I look forward to working with you in the future in a different capacity. And for you candidates, I wish you the best of luck. Thank you very much.
So good evening, everyone. I guess I should begin by saying, while I don't live in Cambridge, I'm thoroughly impressed with the size of this crowd, given the things that are going on in Boston tonight. So I congratulate you very much for all being here. It's really wonderful. Tonight we're going to hear from 3 separate panels of roughly 6 people each. The candidates have all been given copies of the questions that I will be posing, and you should have copies as well in your handout. In that, there is a little bit of a preamble so you can get an idea of the context that the questions are coming out of. So I urge you to look at that as we go along. We're going to be talking about issues like global warming, open urban spaces, green building and the Net Zero Task Force, air pollution, recycling efforts, things like that are very important to Cambridge. Our goal, and certainly my goal, is to make sure that the candidates are able to explain their positions most clearly, and in particular to be able to speak to issues that are particularly important to them. So we have a lot of questions and a lot of ground to cover. So I think what I'm proposing that we'll do is I'll ask questions. If any of the candidates are particularly interested in responding to that question, please indicate. And if not, I will pick someone out to answer the questions, and we'll try and cycle through the questions that we have before us. The candidates will each have a minute to address each question, and we will begin with a 2-minute introductory so they can lay out their viewpoint to begin with. But first, I think it's important that we introduce the panel. First of all, we have, Matthew Martin, who's representing Denise Simmons, who couldn't be here tonight.
Yes.
He's going to speak in a moment. Then we have Craig Kelly. We don't have Craig Kelly yet, but we probably will. We have Minka vanBeuzekom over here. vanBeuzekom, thank you very much. We have Mushtaque Mirza here. We have Janneke House. Janneke, okay. And finally, Gregg Moree there, and James Williamson at the end. So you folks are probably all familiar with these people. They look like an esteemed group, so it's great to have them here. The question that we'll begin with is a 2-minute round that each candidate can address the question of what are your most important energy and environmental priorities for Cambridge, and why do you think they are so important? And we'll begin with Matthew, so that you're ready to go first?
Yes.
And Quentin will be doing the timing, and will stand up with a big hook and pull people off stage if they go too long. So please, you want to come up?
Sure. So my name is Matthew Martin, as he just mentioned. I'm here to speak on behalf of Vice Mayor Denise Simmons, who unfortunately couldn't be here. She had a prior commitment. So I just wanted to say a couple of things about Denise. Denise Simmons has spent her entire adult life working to better her community, helping to open the doors of City Hall to all the people of Cambridge, and making city government more effective. Denise has worked to improve our schools and foster a more vibrant local economy, and Denise's record on environmental concerns has won her notice across Cambridge. In addition to her uncompromising support of the city's numerous environmental initiatives, Denise has established the Green Collar Commission, introduced the concept of zero waste to official mayor events when she was mayor, and helped organize and participated in the Cambridge Energy Climate Congress, and has worked to broaden the scope of the green movement. Now, on this last point, I just wanted to elaborate a little more. Denise has continually sought ways to expand conversations about environmental preservation to include people of color and working class families whose most immediate concerns focus upon finding housing and employment. But they still care very much about environmental protection, and we need to find ways to bring these people into this most important conversation. Denise has been a leader in advocating for the environmental movement to expand the audience so that it speaks to these folks, which will ultimately result in a more effective movement to preserve and protect our planet. Now, I want to go just a little bit off the script. My prior job was to work for John Kerry for 4 years. I didn't handle environmental issues. It was housing and community development that I did. But he did sponsor a cap and trade bill during the 111th Congress, which passed the Democratic House. Obama was ready to sign it, but didn't overcome a Republican filibuster in the Senate, and Scott Brown happened to be number 41. When that happened, there were celebrations. The Tea Party was out celebrating. Right-wing groups were elated, and I thought, what madness. You know, we're discussing the future of the planet, and these people are celebrating. You've got 98% of scientists lining up saying that there's man-made causes, and 2% that aren't employed by big business. So it's crucial for us to get energy into this movement and expand the coalition of people who care and are out there on the streets. Because if the only people on the streets are the Tea Party, and it was cited as one of the reasons after healthcare reform for why we lost the House, we need to get energy. We need to broaden the coalition. So that's like 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Since we're still working out the details a little bit, perhaps it's best for people to stand where they are and speak, since we don't have a microphone. Save energy. You can project, save energy that way. And what I will do is, okay, if my phone goes off, then your 2 minutes are up. Okay. So next we'll go with Janneke House, who will answer the same question, which is, what's your...
Testing, 1, 2, 1, 2.
All right. So you can be the first one to try the microphone. How's that?
Does that work?
Testing, 1, 2.
Hello? How about now? Yeah. Oh, great. Okay, wonderful. Thank you. I'm Janneke House, and I see that many of you had the memo to wear green tonight, so it's not. Okay. That one?
No, the one you were using was working.
Hello? Oh, wow. Even better. There we go. All right. I'm Janneke House, and I'm running for Cambridge City Council, and I ask for your #1 vote on November 5th. I am running because I believe that we need to elect people who will work well together in an open, collaborative, and hardworking way. And I'm also running because I believe that development should improve our quality of life and not risk what we love about Cambridge, such as open space, diverse housing, as well as making sure that local businesses stay in Cambridge. I've worked with Cambridge Local First, which is the nonprofit helping our local businesses. And with local businesses, it's all about the multiplier effect. They purchase from one another, that money stays in the economy, and so we have a strong local economy. Goods and services have to travel less, they don't have to travel as far, and so we reduce our carbon emissions. And the other thing is I worked for the mayor of Salt Lake City on the Sundance Summit, which was a partnership with ICLEI, which is the local government for sustainability. And what we did is we shared best practices. And I think it's important to bring some of these issues to Cambridge, talk about energy consumption and sustainable practices. And so I'd like to see some of that here as well.
Good evening. My name is Mushtaque Mirza, and I'm an environmental engineer. There are 25 candidates are running, and I'm the only one who is an environmental engineer because I care for environment. I know the city of Cambridge above the ground, and I know the city of Cambridge under the ground. I've been to the interceptors, I've been to the manholes, and I know where everything is. But my specialty as a diplomat engineer is water and wastewater. And you have to study. I've got my master's degree in environmental engineering, and you have to take 16 hours exam for the professional license, then another 16 hours exam to get the diplomates. But my other thing which I really wanted to tell you out of my own interest, I went to Antarctica, I went to the Arctic Circle, and I went to the Greenland because I wanted to study what impact of this global warming is. I met with the scientists, I met with the researchers, and I met with the people who do the geodetic survey. And I really tell you, there is a global warming, there is a serious problem with the global warming. And one thing which I say, so much serious problem, so we always think globally but act locally. And we have to act locally to take care of this issue, take care of this problem. And once we start this year, it will be spread and it will be controlled. Because if you're not going to control, not only our country will be affected, but other low-lying area of the world will be affected. So I sincerely request and ask all the people that we should try to work and support whatever we can get for the net zero. This is very important. Second thing is that there is an infiltration and inflow problem, which I have written a book on it, or like the guideline on it. So what happens is that when the rainwater comes in, it goes down to the ground and goes into the cracks of the pipe. And then it goes to the Deer Island wastewater treatment plant. 58% of the wastewater that goes to the Deer Island treatment plant is a rainwater. So we have to take care of that. How to do it? I don't have enough time to explain to you, but there are technologies that are available in which you don't have to dig the trenches. You can take care of the pipes underneath it. You push the cameras underneath the sewer lines, and then you take care of it. Thank you so much. And please think about giving me your #1 vote, because I'll be the great help to the city council. They're all great people, but my expertise in environment, they need somebody like me.
Next we have Mr. Moree.
Gregg Moree.
Gregg Moree.
I just want to say I absolutely love the city of Cambridge, and I love the environment, particularly out in Albrook Parkway. All the species that are out there, the birds, the habitats, and all that. The Charles River is absolutely gorgeous. So I know that there's a lot of technical people here tonight. Whatever views you have, I'm sure we can welcome those views. Net zero, emission-free buildings, any way that we can preserve and protect the environment, we should do that. And this is the Bay State, but it's also the brain state. We have to come up with these solutions. We have a lot of federal money coming in. We have to take advantage of federal money, jobs, and opportunities. There's many different plans out there. We need to hear all those plans and adopt one plan that works for everybody. Sharing ideas, sharing vision is the way to go. My name is Gregg Moree, and we have a 100-year history here in the city of Cambridge. I'm from the Saki family. Thank you.
vanBeuzekom. That's okay. Some of my colleagues, after 22 months, haven't figured out how to pronounce it either.
Okay.
So my name is Minka vanBeuzekom, and this is my first term on the council. And I want to thank people here who helped work on my campaign to get me elected. Since I was probably 10 years old, I've considered myself an environmentalist, and I've taken to heart the idea that you think globally about what's going on, but you act locally. And one of the things I think that's the hallmark of my candidacy and my term on the council is that I do a lot of acting. I really like to roll up my sleeves, read material, study it, and get work done. I've been a member of HEAT, and I've team-led HEAT for I don't know how many times. Maybe I'm going to get a badge for how many times I've team-led that group. I'm on the board of the Mystic River Watershed Association. I've been doing trash recycling, and so I just wanted to stress that I'm an actor. I like to act and get things done rather than talk about it. One of the things that I've done on my first term of the council is bring to the council the idea of a community aggregation of electricity. And it was nice that that was one of the questions that's coming up, because I think that is really a powerful thing that we as a city can do to bring down our carbon emissions. And there'll be more questions about that later. I feel that I had played an important role in getting the city to, and getting the Connolly petition to come forward to talk about net zero. As many of you know, there are countries that have decided that it's so important that they, as a country, have decided to go net zero emissions, carbon emissions. London is a city that's made a commitment to do that, and as Mayor Davis said, there are other examples popping up. When the MIT petition came before us and they were asking to expand 26 acres in Kendall Square, one of the things that I asked for, and admittedly in my naivete on my first term, it was late in the process, asked for them, because I knew they had the technical expertise to do it, to consider net zero, and I'm going to sit down. But there'll be much more talk about net zero.
Thank you very much. And finally, Mr. Williamson will answer the same question.
Thank you. My name is James Williamson. I've lived in Cambridge for 42 years. For many of those years I lived, well, the first place I lived was right down the street on Green Street. Then I lived for about 35 years down on Perry Street in the building that Obama's uncle lived in when I was there, interestingly. I got evicted from my apartment as a result of a mortgage foreclosure, and for the last 6 years I've been living in public housing in North Cambridge. I was very interested to learn at the panel that was put together, chaired, I think, by the current mayor, that one of the issues is the plug load. HRI, a representative from Homeowners Rehab, a nonprofit who do a lot of the affordable housing in Cambridge, talked about the problem with the plug load, meaning the residents who are plugged in and the electricity use from that. And that's an interesting question to me, because I feel in public housing that we are beleaguered, constantly being berated and beaten down and told what we're doing wrong and what we're supposed to be doing that we're not doing. But there isn't a lot of really enlightened collaboration with the residents in public housing to come up with ways of addressing some of these issues. And I think that's an interesting opportunity, but it has to be done in a way that's respectful and sensitive to the needs of the residents in public housing and in the nonprofits. I just put together some flyers at the Cambridge Public Library. I'm the frugal candidate. I'm also the candidate who's chosen not to accept any money in this election from corporations, from real estate development companies, from building trades unions, who are sometimes, unfortunately, they're collaborators in overbuilding in Cambridge, which is not good for the environment. I hope you take a look at this. I hope you'll take a look at my candidate video at CCTV. There are great local resources which have been made available to all of us as candidates, but only about 11 candidates actually went to CCTV. And I walked here because the #1 bus doesn't run frequently enough from the Cambridge Public Library, and because the Cambridge Public Library was built in a place that you can't get to by public transportation. Thank you.